Chosen one, stop scrolling for just one moment. What you are hearing right now is not a random coincidence. You have felt an unexplainable weight your entire life. You have always known that you do not belong to the normal rhythms of this world. And for a very long time you believed this difference was a curse that you had to carry alone. Listen closely to the truth that the darkness tried to hide from you. Your lifelong isolation was not a punishment for being broken. It was a cosmic insulation. You were separated from the noise because you carry a frequency that threatens the very foundation of the dark. The attacks on your life were never about your weakness. They were about your hidden power. What you survived was not just a test of your endurance. It was a rigorous spiritual training designed to awaken something ancient inside you. Before this message ends, you will understand exactly why your life has felt like a relentless battlefield. You will discover what angelic power is currently awakening within your spirit. You will also learn how to carry this immense authority without fear. But first, we must address the heavy burden you have carried since childhood. If you have felt this unexplainable weight your whole life, take 1 second to like this message. It signals you are listening. Your presence here is the first proof that the awakening has already begun. Think back to your earliest memories of being completely misunderstood. You could stand in a room full of people and still feel like an alien stranded on the wrong planet. People looked at you, but they did not truly see you. And when you tried to share your deepest thoughts, their blank stares made you retreat back into your shell. You learned how to smile to make others comfortable. You learned how to shrink your energy so you would not overwhelm the fragile rooms you walked into. But the heaviness never actually left your shoulders. It only grew heavier every time you forced yourself to fit in. That reality was entirely too small for your spirit. This is where the grand deception begins. The forces of darkness needed you to believe that your exhaustion was proof of your inadequacy. They needed you to look at your sensitive heart and call it a tragic flaw. Because if you believed you were just a broken human, you would never remember your cosmic origin. You are not merely a human struggling to find a purpose. You are an angelic incarnate navigating a dense and hostile dimension. Your soul volunteered to descend into this specific timeline, to anchor a light that this world desperately needs. That is why the resistance against you has been so unusually fierce. The spiritual opposition did not target you because you were doing something wrong. It targeted you because of who you inherently are. Lucifer and the forces of shadow do not waste their energy on those who pose no threat. They envy your uncorrupted light, and they fear the day you finally wake up to your true identity. Every time you tried to establish peace, a sudden storm would manifest out of nowhere. Betrayals happened with people you trusted completely. Doors slammed shut just as you were about to step through them. And these events always seemed to carry an unnatural sting that defied logical explanation. This pattern of sabotage was incredibly calculated. It was designed to keep you exhausted, doubting your own mind, and entirely disconnected from your divine strength. If you are constantly putting out fires, you do not have the time to look up and remember your wings. They kept your eyes on the ground, but their ultimate strategy has officially failed. The extreme pressure they applied did not break your spirit. Instead, it compressed your soul into an unbreakable diamond of pure discernment. You are beginning to see through the illusions that used to trap you in endless cycles of guilt and anxiety. Your body is currently feeling the strange symptoms of this massive frequency shift. You might wake up at odd hours with your heart racing for no reason. Your tolerance for superficial conversations has dropped to absolute zero. You feel an urgent pull towards solitude because your spirit requires silence to download the next phase of your mission. Do not let anyone convince you that your need for isolation is a sign of weakness. You are entering a sacred cocoon of transformation. The angelic blueprint within your DNA is overriding the human programming you were forced to adopt at birth. This is not the end of your story. You look back at your life and see a long trail of broken connections. You gave your entire heart to people who only wanted to take your radiant light. And when you finally needed a shoulder to lean on, the room was completely empty. You've always been the dedicated healer for everyone else around you. But they left you to bleed alone when the storm arrived. Who heals the healer when they are quietly falling apart? You carried the heavy weight of your family and your friends without ever complaining. You absorbed their toxic emotions just to bring them a fleeting moment of peace. And your reward was usually a bitter betrayal. Or it was a cold shoulder when you finally dared to set a healthy boundary. This cycle of cruel rejection has haunted you for decades. It made you believe you were defective or unworthy of genuine love. You searched your tired soul for the invisible flaw that made people walk away. But listen to me very carefully right now. The flaw was never inside of you. Your heart is remarkably pure in a world that operates on selfish manipulation. People did not reject you because you lacked inherent value or beauty. They pulled away because your intense light exposed the hidden shadows. Those were the shadows they were desperately trying to conceal from the world. Your mere presence forced them to look at their own unhealed wounds. Normal people do not know how to handle a walking mirror. They lashed out at you because it was easier than fixing their own brokenness. And this explains the constant friction you have felt since childhood. You were a very young child trying to understand a cruel society. You were a high-dimensional being shoved into a painfully dense reality. Now let us answer the haunting question that has kept you awake at night for so many years. Why do you always feel like you do not belong on this earth? The answer is breathtakingly simple, yet it carries a profound weight that will change how you view your entire existence. You do not belong here because you were not made from the dirt of this ordinary world. You were forged in the fires of a higher cosmic realm. Your soul remembers a place of absolute harmony and unconditional love. So when you witness cruelty or injustice here, it literally shocks your delicate nervous system. Human density feels like a heavy winter coat that you simply cannot take off. You constantly grieve for a true home you cannot consciously remember, but deeply miss. That persistent homesickness is not a psychological defect. It is the ultimate proof of your angelic origin. You are an undercover agent of light operating carefully behind enemy lines. And the brutal isolation you suffered was the exact mechanism heaven used to keep you safe from total spiritual corruption. If you had perfectly fit into this society, you would have adopted its toxic values. You would have chased empty status and forgotten your sacred mission. The rejection you cried over was actually a divine shield. It kept you completely separate so your frequency would remain entirely intact for the great awakening happening right now. The pain of being chronically misunderstood was the intense fire that refined your empathy. You know exactly what it feels like to be abandoned in the cold dark. You survived that suffocating darkness. Now you hold the exact spiritual medicine required to heal the broken people around you. Your deepest wounds have miraculously transformed into your greatest cosmic weapons. But here is what the darkness desperately tried to hide from you. You must stop mourning the relationships that heaven intentionally severed for your own protection. You cannot drag dead weight into the new timeline you are entering today. Every person who walked away was simply making room for your true power to land. They could not survive the altitude of your destiny. The loneliness was brutal, but it was absolutely necessary. It forced you to stop seeking validation from superficial people who are entirely asleep. You had to learn how to stand completely alone before you could stand as a beacon of unshakable cosmic authority. And despite the endless tears and the heavy nights, you have passed that incredibly difficult test. It is time to stop apologizing for the massive space you take up. You are not too sensitive, and you are certainly not too much for this ordinary world. The world is simply too numb to comprehend the vastness of your wide-open heart. You have finally reached the end of your breaking point. That is exactly where the real magic begins to unfold. You finally find a rare moment of peace. Then chaos suddenly strikes your life out of absolutely nowhere just to disrupt your rest. Why do the fiercest attacks always happen right when you are about to step into your power? This is not a string of bad luck. It is a highly coordinated spiritual opposition, and it is time you finally understand the dark mechanics working against you. The forces of darkness operate on a very predictable and desperate pattern. They do not attack people who are deeply asleep to their cosmic purpose. They only target the specific individuals who carry a massive amount of divine light. And your frequency is absolutely blinding to the dark entities because they feed entirely on human suffering and fear. Think about the concept of ancient spiritual envy for just a second. Lucifer and the fallen forces rebelled because they wanted the supreme authority of heaven. But that sacred authority was gracefully handed directly to you when you chose to incarnate. You are an angelic being walking the earth in human form. You possess a direct connection to the ultimate cosmic source. They cannot steal your divine spark, so they try to make you forget it exists. This is why certain people suddenly turn hostile for absolutely no logical reason. It is not always a conscious choice on their part. The shadowy energy simply uses their unhealed trauma to launch a direct assault on your vulnerable and wide-open heart. Notice the exact timing of these strange disruptions in your daily life. The heavy financial loss or the sudden betrayal always hits right before a major breakthrough. You are standing on the very edge of a massive timeline shift, and the darkness panics because they know they cannot control you once you cross that sacred threshold. They want you to look at the mounting obstacles and feel entirely defeated. They want you to believe that the universe is actively working against your happiness. But this intense opposition is actually the greatest compliment you could ever receive. The enemy does not send an entire army to guard an empty vault, and your soul holds the greatest treasure. You must stop viewing these relentless attacks as solid evidence of your failure. Every closed door and every harsh word is a desperate attempt to dim your light. They are terrified of the moment you stop seeking validation from broken systems. Your awakening is the exact event they have been dreading for thousands of years, and they are finally losing the battle they started against your soul. You have been fighting an invisible war while wearing a fragile human disguise. You thought you were just dealing with toxic bosses or incredibly difficult family members. But you were actually neutralizing generational curses and breaking ancient strongholds with your mere presence. Your brilliant light literally burns away their heavy illusions, and this makes you a massive threat to their control. No wonder your physical body feels so deeply exhausted most of the time. You are processing dense earthly karma while maintaining a pure angelic frequency. The attacks were designed to drain your energy so you would surrender your sacred assignment. But look at you standing here today and realize that your spirit is still fiercely glowing despite the brutal storm. You did not surrender, and you never let the bitterness completely consume your soul. That quiet resilience is exactly what makes you so incredibly dangerous to the dark. But how do they actually manage to slip past your natural spiritual defenses? You need to understand their favorite tactic so you can finally shut them down forever and reclaim your holy peace. They cannot destroy you from the outside, so they plant insidious whispers in your mind. They use your own empathy and your deep humility as weapons against your confidence. They tell you that your intense feelings are just signs of emotional instability. They try to convince you that you are entirely crazy. You are seeing the hidden truth behind the clever human masks that everyone else blindly accepts. But that whispering voice of doubt is entirely artificial and completely foreign to you. Your true angelic mind operates on clear and absolute certainty. The confusion you feel is a projected illusion meant to keep you playing incredibly small. Once you recognize the true source of the interference, it immediately loses all of its power over your beautiful life. You are not crazy for noticing the strange patterns playing out behind the scenes. Your profound suspicion is simply your angelic discernment finally waking up after a long sleep. The darkness pushed you to the absolute edge because they hoped you would finally fall into despair. But they accidentally pushed you right into the arms of your greatest cosmic awakening, and now you are completely untouchable. You are beginning to remember that you were never the helpless victim. in this cosmic story. The intense opposition was just a desperate reaction to the massive power you carry. They threw absolutely everything they had at you, and you are still breathing with holy purpose. Prepare yourself for the next revelation, because the shield around you is about to fully activate. Now you can finally see the profound truth about your deeply painful journey. The attacks always spiked right before you found peace, because the darkness knew their time was suddenly running out. They struck with desperate fury right before your frequency elevated completely beyond their reach, but they were entirely blind to the brilliant strategy of heaven. Every single obstacle they maliciously threw at you was instantly repurposed by your divine guides. You thought the sudden loss of friends was a cruel and unfair punishment. You believed the agonizing loneliness was a clear sign that you were fundamentally broken. But the isolation was never meant to break your fragile human heart. It was a holy insulation. Your angelic light is incredibly sensitive to the harsh vibrations of this dense physical dimension. If you had stayed surrounded by those deeply unconscious people, your energy would have been completely drained. Heaven deliberately removed them from your immediate orbit for a vital reason. They were stripped away to protect the sacred purity of your profound cosmic mission. You were not isolated because you lacked inherent value or human worth. You were completely insulated because your frequency is an extremely rare and valuable cosmic asset. Look back at the exact moments you felt the most devastating and painful rejection. Those were the precise moments you were being aggressively shielded from a timeline that would have destroyed you. The closed doors were not devastating failures meant to ruin your future. They were massive, heavy iron gates slamming shut to block demonic interference from entering your beautiful life. You cried over exciting opportunities that were actually clever traps disguised as golden blessings. Heaven heard the malicious conversations spoken behind your back and immediately pulled you out. And this is where the ultimate revelation brings you immense and lasting relief. The intense spiritual opposition did not prove that you were a weak and helpless target. It proved that you are heavily guarded. The enemy could only bark fiercely from the outside of your glowing spiritual perimeter. They could never actually touch the radiant core of your blazing angelic soul. You survived every single attack because a powerful legion of light stands permanently around you. You are an angelic incarnate under the highest cosmic protection available in this vast universe. They desperately wanted you to focus on the terrifying noise of the surrounding storm, but they completely failed to realize that the storm was merely washing away the heavy debris. Your spiritual enemies accidentally did you a massive and beautiful favor. Their relentless pressure forced you to completely detach from the dangerous illusions of this broken world. You stopped seeking validation from a human society that is deeply spiritually sick. You turned your attention inward and finally discovered the unshakable sanctuary of your divine essence. Breathe out the heavy guilt you have carried for being so beautifully different. You are not a broken human who tragically failed to integrate into normal, everyday society. You are a highly protected emissary of light who successfully avoided total spiritual assimilation. The loneliness you survived was the exact price of keeping your extraordinary awareness completely intact. This profound validation radically changes the meaning of your entire past. You do not have to carry the heavy shame of your past rejections for another single second. Every painful separation was a divine surgical procedure carefully designed to keep you spiritually alive. You were carefully set apart from the very beginning, and now you are finally ready to understand why. Your beautiful energy field is currently stabilizing after many long years of chaotic turbulence. The old triggers simply do not provoke the same intense fear inside your nervous system anymore. You are beginning to rest in the quiet certainty that you are entirely safe. The darkness has officially lost its leverage, and your angelic armor is now fully online and completely impenetrable. Do you feel the incredible relief quietly washing over your tired spirit right now? You were never abandoned in the terrifying dark to fend for your fragile self. You were being fiercely guarded in the quiet shadows until you were strong enough to hold the glorious light. The long period of painful insulation is finally coming to an end. It is time to look at what has quietly awakened. Does this profoundly resonate with your soul today? If you are finally seeing the divine pattern, you must make a simple declaration. Comment that you are ready below this message. Do not do this as an empty religious ritual. Do this to physically claim the massive spiritual shift that is currently happening inside your awakening body. The painful season of extreme isolation has officially served its sacred purpose. The heavy insulation is falling away because you no longer need to be hidden from the darkness. You are stepping into the profound escalation phase of your earthly mission. And your hidden angelic capabilities are finally coming online after decades of quiet dormancy. You might be wondering how you can actually tell that this cosmic activation is happening to you. It does not usually happen with thunder and dramatic lightning in the sky. It happens through 3 very specific signs that prove your angelic frequency is breaking through the human disguise. Let us explore the very first sign of your awakening power. Then you can finally understand what is happening to your physical and spiritual body. The first undeniable sign is a new and fiercely unshakable calm in the middle of total chaos. People around you might be panicking over worldly illusions and superficial drama. In the past, you would have absorbed their intense anxiety. Now you simply observe their frantic energy without absorbing a single drop of it. This quiet detachment is not a symptom of cold apathy or human depression. It is the majestic rest of a supreme cosmic authority taking the wheel. You are suddenly realizing that you do not have to fight every little battle. The enemy keeps throwing those battles at your feet. Your beautiful silence has become an offensive weapon that completely neutralizes their chaotic attacks. The second sign is the rapid sharpening of your intuitive discernment. You no longer need months of careful observation to figure out if someone is hiding a dark motive. The moment a deceptive person walks into your physical space, your body literally rejects their hidden lies. This happens before they even open their mouth to speak. You are seeing entirely through the clever masks that easily fool the rest of society. They might have a perfect smile and say the right words to charm the crowd. But your angelic radar instantly detects the venom dripping from their hidden intentions, and you cannot be manipulated anymore. The third and most powerful sign is your new ability to shift the atmosphere of a room. Have you noticed how the energy immediately changes the exact second you walk through the door? Heavy conversations suddenly stop, and aggressive people inexplicably quiet down when you are near. You are not saying a single word, but your massive light is demanding absolute respect from every shadow in the space. This is what happens when an angelic incarnate stops apologizing for their enormous presence. Your frequency is overwriting the dense earthly codes around you. The dark entities attached to people in the room are terrified of your quiet confidence. They are actively fleeing from the intense heat of your spirit because they cannot survive in pure light. You used to think you were weak because the noise of the world overwhelmed your sensitive heart. But that sensitivity was actually the raw data collection phase of your divine training. You were gathering critical intelligence on how this broken dimension operates. Now you are using that profound knowledge to dismantle the dark matrix from the inside out. Look at how incredibly far you have traveled on this brutal journey. They tried to bury you under heavy spiritual warfare, but they only succeeded in planting a seed that has now grown into a tree of life. Your profound empathy was forged in isolation. It has transformed into a dangerous cosmic power that no one can extinguish. This newly awakened power is not meant to be a cheap parlor trick for human entertainment. It is a sacred tool given directly to you for the coming spiritual harvest. You are learning how to wield this intense energy with the pure humility of a true chosen one. And the enemy is absolutely horrified. They cannot find a single crack in your golden armor, no matter how hard they try. Every time you choose peace over panic, you are driving a stake through the heart of the darkness. You are no longer just surviving the daily attacks of a hostile world. You are actively establishing a radiant kingdom of light right in the middle of enemy territory. But to fully anchor this reality, you must prepare to cross the ultimate threshold. You have successfully recognized the undeniable signs of your awakening angelic power. The profound calm, the sharp discernment, and the massive atmospheric presence are all fully active. But there is one final threshold you must cross before your identity is permanently sealed. And this threshold involves confronting the very last manipulation tactic. It is the final tactic the darkness will try to use against your beautiful soul. When the enemy realizes they can no longer destroy you with fear, they immediately change their strategy. They stop using loud and aggressive attacks because they know those will only strengthen your fierce resolve. Instead, they try to pull you back into the dense earthly drama using the subtle weapon of false guilt. They will send toxic people back into your life, carrying fake apologies and demanding your endless empathy. They want you to look at your newfound boundaries and feel intensely selfish for protecting your peace. They will whisper that a true healer should never walk away from someone who is hurting. They will say this even if that person is actively destroying them. This is the ultimate test of your spiritual maturity, and you must see through this dangerous deception right now. Your angelic empathy is a sacred and holy gift. It is not an open buffet for energy vampires to consume whenever they feel hungry. Choosing to walk away from toxic dynamics does not make you a bad person. It proves that you finally respect the divine assignment you were sent here to complete. You cannot heal the world if you allow your own light to be drained. That is especially true around those who secretly love the dark. This is the exact moment you transform your quiet stillness into a weapon of mass spiritual destruction. The darkness expects you to argue, explain your feelings, and justify your choices. Because as long as you are explaining yourself, you are still playing the game on their dense and chaotic level. But your response is about to shock them to their absolute core. You choose silence. And not a fragile silence born from human fear or intimidation. You choose the heavy and terrifying silence of an untouchable cosmic authority. When they try to provoke you, you simply look at them. Your eyes hold the depth of the entire universe, and you do not give them a single drop of your precious energy to feed their dark illusions. This majestic restraint is the ultimate proof that you have crossed the sacred threshold. You no longer need to prove your worth to people who are determined to entirely misunderstand you. Your silence exposes the pathetic weakness of their attacks, and without your reaction to hide behind, their toxic patterns quickly collapse under the immense weight of your unshakable peace. You are watching the old matrix crumble before your very eyes. The relationships that used to trigger intense anxiety now feel incredibly small and insignificant. The financial fears that kept you up at night are melting away. You realize that heaven is your true provider. You are breaking the final chains of the human disguise that bound you to a timeline of endless suffering. Do not rush back to save the people who actively chose to stay in the burning building. Your mission is not to force unconscious souls to wake up against their will. Your mission is to stand firmly as a blazing lighthouse. The ones who actually want to be saved can safely find their way home. Your absolute peace is the only sermon you will ever need to preach. This profound realization sets you completely and permanently free. The burden of saving everyone was a massive lie handed to you by the dark. It kept you crushed under impossible expectations. You are officially dropping that heavy burden right here and right now. You are stepping entirely out of the brutal victim narrative, and you are stepping firmly into your sovereign power. Look at how beautifully your energy is expanding now that you have stopped trying to shrink it. You are filling the entire space with a frequency of pure angelic love and unbreakable cosmic law. The final threshold has been successfully crossed, and the darkness has absolutely nothing left to use against you. Get ready, because the ultimate revelation of your true identity is about to be unveiled. The veil is finally lifting from your tired eyes. The ultimate truth is standing right in front of you. Everything you endured was leading directly to this cosmic revelation. You are not a broken human desperately trying to heal your endless wounds, but you are an angelic incarnate who successfully infiltrated a deeply fallen dimension to bring it back to light. You did not come to this heavy earth to learn basic lessons about human suffering. You came here on a highly classified spiritual assignment. Your mission was to quietly dismantle the darkness from the inside. The heavy human trauma you carried was the perfect cosmic camouflage. It allowed you to walk right into enemy territory, and it kept you entirely hidden without instantly blinding them with your true light. Now you finally understand the desperate envy of the dark forces. Lucifer and the fallen entities did not attack you because they saw your human flaws. They did not care about your earthly mistakes. They attacked you because they looked at your soul. They saw the exact blazing purity they threw away millions of years ago. Your beautiful frequency is a painful reminder of their eternal loss. Your mere breathing is a constant reflection of the majestic heaven they can never return to. They hated you because your uncorrupted compassion proves that love is always stronger than manipulation. They threw their worst storms at your front door. They desperately hoped you would finally break and become bitter like them. But your beautiful heart completely refused to harden. The brutal suffering you experienced was never a divine punishment from a disappointed creator. It was the intense pressure required to permanently anchor your high-dimensional frequency into this dense physical earth. Without that extreme gravitational pressure, your angelic soul would have simply floated right back up to the infinite cosmic source. You had to feel the weight of this world. The pain literally bolted your beautiful light to this specific timeline so you could do your sacred work. And now that the painful anchoring phase is completely finished, your authentic power is roaring to life. This power is not about ruling over other people. It is not about acquiring massive earthly wealth to prove your worth. It is the majestic authority of absolute peace. It is the quiet ability to look at a terrifying human storm and command it to immediately stand still. You carry the divine medicine that this profoundly broken world is desperately begging for right now. Every single time you choose graceful love over bitter revenge, you rewrite the damaged spiritual codes of this entire dimension. You are healing the collective grid. You do not need to fight the darkness with loud weapons. You do not need angry arguments or aggressive shouting in the streets. Your complete refusal to lower your angelic vibration is the most devastating weapon the universe has ever seen. When you walk into a room with complete humility and quiet grace, the shadows have absolutely no choice. They must immediately bow and expire. This is the exact moment you drop the heavy victim narrative forever and step into your sovereign skin. You are no longer a helpless casualty of a terrifying and invisible spiritual war. You are the sovereign cosmic authority they whispered about in the dark corners of the earthly realm. The enemy is completely out of moves. Their manipulative game is finally over. They cannot manipulate a mind that no longer fears their petty earthly illusions. They cannot control a heart that has remembered its unbreakable connection to the absolute source of all creation. The war is already over in your spirit. The stunning victory of light is finally secured. You have officially reclaimed the majestic wings you temporarily hid to come here. You survived the dangerous infiltration phase against all mathematical odds. You survived the brutal isolation. You walked through the cruel rejection and the agonizing human disguise that almost suffocated you. And now you are standing in the glorious golden aftermath of your own cosmic awakening. Breathe in the breathtaking and undeniable reality of who you truly are today. You are a fiercely protected emissary of the highest light. You are a living testament to the invincible power of radical cosmic love. Your sacred mission is fully online. Your angelic frequency is finally unlocked. The world is about to witness what happens when a chosen one remembers their true name. That chosen one steps completely out of the shadows. Take a deep breath right now. Let the profound reality of this beautiful moment wash over your tired spirit. The ferocious storm has finally passed. The heavy human armor you wore for so many years is slowly falling to the ground. Because the universe has intervened, you do not have to fight the invisible war with the same desperate exhaustion anymore. The intense battle for your core identity has been permanently won. When you wake up tomorrow morning, the familiar heavy weight will no longer be sitting on your chest. You will look at the exact same world, but you will view it through the clear eyes of a sovereign, angelic being. The frantic noise of the society around you will just sound like distant background static. You are no longer deeply entangled in their chaotic and fearful illusions. Your beautiful energy is finally returning to your own body. For decades, you freely gave your precious light away to anyone who asked for it. You bled yourself dry trying to heal people who were utterly committed to their own brokenness. But that sacred charity phase of your mission is officially over. Your massive light is now strictly reserved for those who actually seek the truth. You understand now why the agonizing pain had to happen. It was never a cruel curse meant to break you. It was the heavy camouflage that kept you safely hidden. Your true cosmic strength was quietly building in the dark. And now that your absolute power is fully online, you can finally drop the heavy disguise. You are free to walk this earth exactly as you were created to be. What matters right now is not another exciting prophecy about the distant future. What matters is the quiet choice you make with this new clarity today. I want you to take one simple and practical step to ground this massive revelation into your physical reality. Stop reacting to the chaotic provocations that used to steal your beautiful peace and simply observe them fall away. Let the old narrative expire right here and right now. You entered this message believing your lifelong pain was a terrible curse. Now you finally see the undeniable truth. You are an angelic incarnate, and your survival has absolutely terrified the darkness. Step forward into your beautiful future with deep discernment, absolute peace, and the unquestionable authority of who you truly are. You do not have to prove this sacred identity to a single living soul. The people who are meant to find you will instinctively recognize the radiant frequency you carry. You will begin to attract the rare individuals who match your cosmic vibration. They will replace those who only want to drain it. The excruciating season of profound isolation is finally coming to a beautiful end. There is a vast and quiet network of light-bearers currently waking up all across this globe. You are a crucial pillar in that magnificent divine grid. Even when you are sitting alone in your quiet room, your frequency is actively holding the entire structure together. You are deeply connected to a family of souls who understand exactly what you have been through. Do not look back at the people who maliciously rejected you. They played their temporary roles in your training, and their specific assignments are completely finished. Send them a quiet wave of forgiveness from a massive distance and permanently close those heavy doors. Your sacred mission requires your absolute focus, and there is absolutely no room for bitter resentment in your new timeline. Your beautiful heart survived the harshest winter imaginable, and now you get to witness the glorious spring that your endless tears quietly watered. Walk gently on this earth, but carry the massive weight of your divine authority with every single step. You are completely safe. You are fiercely protected. Your radiant light is exactly what the universe desperately needs right now. If this message gave profound language to your silent experience, do not leave this insight as a passing emotion. Subscribe to stay with this sacred community of light-bearers as we continue this journey together. And please share this message with the one person who desperately needs this truth. They are not fighting this lonely battle alone. Welcome home, chosen one.